This is and actually, we're seeing it now. We're seeing the Poppy come in. Rel going in onto Brian. Tokyo Tree trying to dash onto him. Jeff God trying to get a hit right there, getting the root in. But here comes the Poppy. Gets the flash out. The exhaust coming through. They're trying to get to Jeff God. It's got to be first blood going over to Tokyo Tree. Brian trying to grab something here. He's got the punch. He's looking for something, trying to get the shield. But Atreus picks him up because of all his turrets. And to be ult turrets, it's pretty brutal. Tokyo Tree is dueling onto Brian, getting him very low right there. Ooh, absorbing so much that damage right there. Brian's just going to dunk. Is he going to dunk him? Is he going to finish? He does not. Tokyo Tree's flashes in and going golden. Lupo goes in, gets a massive ultimate. Jita gets the flash out. The dunk coming in. Lupo is going to go down. Tokyo Tree looking for something right here. He's going to get utility. He's going to get shielded. He's looking for something. He's going to go down too. Brian Cheetah's going down. Idri's going to run too. This is a disaster for HBK as they're looking for, trying to find more. Going to go down. Idris gets the shutdown actually. They grab one. They're looking for another. It's going to be the new fight. Tokyo Tree. Another Idri's going down. They're looking for something. Brian going to get taken out. The Kazakh's going to get taken out. It's just Cheetah against Chef God. Spears here on his own, looking for something, but his face, it is getting low. They're looking for something right here. The engage goes in. Idris does pick up the Baron, but what is it going to cost? Everyone fighting out. Civillock getting kind of low. Down goes Tokyo Tree. Everyone actually super low right now on the side of HBK. They're trying to run away. Utility Mon's looking for something. They pick up a double kill for Civillock on to this.
Welcome everyone. Game 3, deciding match point between YUBI and H-Block. We're going straight into the draft. Early pickups between the Jarvan Maokai and Misfortune. I am joined by Brendan to help me through what could potentially be the last game of both of these teams' regular seasons.
This is actually, as we're going, like you said, speeding through MF. I'm a huge MF believer. As Spencer was just talking about earlier, I'm an MF spammer at the moment. I think lethality MF is actually really disgusting. With Maokai, especially to get the ability to lock down, I think it's a great pick. But you see Alistar, Yasuo, which I'm going to guess is going to go in the bot lane. That's just my quick guess.
Yeah, that does indicate that could be going into the bot lane. Yeah, MF obviously does have the double option for builds right now. She can go for the more kind of team fight oriented, I would say, crit build, which is going to let her, hit front line, go front to back, and, let the ultimate deal damage. Or you can go for that just kind of bursty lethality build, which lets her do just ungodly numbers. We have seen Jeff kind of favor towards the crit build lately. And speaking of favoring, Civillock favoring towards what I believe is his favorite champion on the Malzahar.
That's a Civillock special right there. The no fun champions in the mid lane. And Yasuo is definitely going to go into the bot lane, in my opinion, unless they switch up, really, just because I think Yasuo is actually the biggest counter to MF. Just the wind wall, especially, just blocking out that ulti is really just disgusting.
Yeah, I think that Yasuo, and to a degree, and I know this isn't popular, I think Samira can kind of do the same thing. But yeah, no, like you say, the wind wall just being such a huge deterrent for an MF player to be able to, really say, like, okay, can I actually put my ultimate down yet? Do I have to wait for the wind wall? And it kind of lets the Yasuo player dictate what the MF is allowed to do in a fight. And also, YUBI dictating what H-Block's allowed to do, taking away that crucial Nico. Spears has been huge on that now for what is 2 seasons. H-Block's ability to really create good team fights for themselves with that Nico is genuinely really impressive, just finding a flank with that Pop Blossom and giving an opportunity for Spears to really shape a fight and where the enemy team's allowed to go, but that gets taken away by YUBI. The Skarner and the Cho'Gath both also taken away, and the Zig's gone off the table.
So I want to see if YUBI decides for this Kazakh's picks. In general, especially this series, YUBI has been especially a no fun when it comes to the team comps. We're going to see Poppy lock, and that was the takeaway from H-Block, actually.
Another no fun pick there. Poppy just shut down any possible dashes. So far, that's all H-Block has picked. That will be able to shut down the Alistar, will be able to shut down any engages from Jarvan, and obviously Yasuo going around to fight. Still yet to see what H-Block is going to be taking into what should be the solo lanes. Obviously, that Yasuo could, in theory, triple flex, but it looks like it's going to be a no on the mid lane, as maybe we'll see a LeBlanc here from Spears, which into Malzahar feels a little bit suspect to me. I don't think that would be something of a lane that LeBlanc really wants to be in. Malzahar being able to shut down those trades really effectively, just push in on repeat, really isn't what LeBlanc wants to be dealing with, but maybe it's going to be an Akali instead. Just some very aggressive solo lanes getting locked here from H-Block.
That is interesting. I think actually the biggest thing that LeBlanc has to be scared for is this Maokai. He can lock in onto her very easily, and this Akali especially, Maokai is a big counter into that. If he picks that, and it's going to be Orin. Okay, good swap.
Yeah, I like that a lot more. Now, obviously, Poppy's still able to shut down The Ornn just being able to stand on top of him and remove his opportunity to get the second hit of his ultimate. And obviously any sort of CC is going to be able to take that away. So, you know, it's a top lane option that's going to allow to neutralize, and it's going to be up to YUBI to pick the counter pick into that. And it looks like they might want to take the Shen here, which kind of puts them on a low damage composition, especially in comparison to HBlock if they do want to take that Shen. Malzahar obviously doesn't lack damage by any means, but is not going to be able to deal that much. They're relying very heavily on that misfortune.
Yeah, Yuumi has been literally drafting only Yuumi teams. Like, these comps are just the basic Yuumi teams. A lot of CC, backline for Jeff and Sivlock, and HBlock, on the other hand, has been doing a lot of HBlock drafts with, you know, very aggressive, weird role swapping and these kind of things. So whoever wins this game is going to be dying on their strategy when it comes to draft.
Yeah, no, this is really who's going to get the first pin out here. I think that HBlock has some good options, as we see that, yes, it is going to be the Yasuo going into the bot lane. As predicted, we see 3 people rotated up to the top side here from HBlock, maybe just going to look for some sort of vision, potentially going for some kind of kill. No, it is 5 now, with all 5 top sides. Sivlock is sitting in the brush there, has not shown himself. There's the flag coming down. I don't think there's going to be anything, though.
UB opts for the 5 wide, which is, of course, the safer strategy. You should 5 wide every single game unless you're going to be invading or trying to get early vision. And when it comes to this early, I'm going to highlight the junglers, because the jungler matchup is really important when it comes to the bot lane. HBlock's draft is very predicated on this Yasuo getting ahead, this Yasuo doing damage, him ulting off a lot of other ults with Ornn and Jarvan and these kind of things. So I need to see Jarvan hopefully beat down Poppy when it comes to the ganks, when it comes to the bot.
Yeah, and I like that they did go ahead and give them just the safe side of top side, just to say, okay, we're not going to bother with this Ornn. We're just going to leave him up there, leave him on his own. And I think we'll likely see that Jarvan playing around the mid and the bot sides of the map. Obviously, Jarvan, very effective at ganking. Malzahar can break the shield with the E, go in with the Q, find the knockup. And that could be very good. Obviously, unlocking this LeBlanc to be able to go bot lane and get 4 people down there could be a good way for HBlock to break open this game. Utility Monster on the Poppy, though, very eligible to do counter ganks and kind of shut down that Jarvan, shut down really anybody going into anywhere if they can get good vision. So I think this is going to be very down to the bot side and the jungle of UB to try and keep track of where Idris is and keep track of where Spears is. And make sure that they can't make those plays potentially onto the bot side that they will be looking for come about the 10-minute mark.
Speaking of this Poppy, he's going Dark Harvest, which should mean that it's lethality Poppy. So that's going to do a bunch of damage. If you have to hit into the wall, which is, you know, Poppy's E, Heroic Charge, I believe what the name is, and that's really important for his damage. And we're going to see just trading in the early bot lane, which has been really important in both lanes. I'm going to see the level 2 for UB right here.
Yeah, potentially Brian saying looking to find some sort of a route down onto Pro Loophole. It isn't going to be fine. Now, we did see kind of what definitely I would call unpracticed play from Jeff and Brian into the Irelia previously. Now, Yasuo does play bot lane quite similarly. Do see a little trade in the top side, but I think Ornn wins that one 90% of the time. Vegeta does walk away with the health advantage. Doesn't have his jungler. Jungler is on the other side of the map instead, as it looks like Idris might be trying to find something in the bot lane. There's no wards down. They're not as pushed up as they were in the previous game where they got caught out not having the ward down. Here comes the engage. The flash pulverize failed from Pro Loophole, and that is important, but now Tokyo Tree getting the damage down. Heal comes out. Brian Sang is able to flash away the flash under tower from Tokyo Tree. He isn't able to pick up the kill, and Jeff God Gamer takes one back. And now chasing down Idris, trying to find some sort of damage. I don't think he's going to get anything there. Great flash away. Great use of the heal there to make sure that it was before the ignite. Now as there's a trade in the mid lane, Sivlock does fall to Spears.
That is a good gank by Idris. I think that UB should have really predicted that, especially since Poppy was going towards the bot start into the top side. They just fluffed up the execution on the side of HBlock, and unfortunately, just Jeff gets the early kill for the first blood.
Yeah, a little bit of an overextension there from Tokyo Tree to try and find that kill. Knew that that ignite was not going to be able to take down Brian Sang, but I think it might have been some something off the passive there. I'm not totally sure what was allowing Brian to survive that, but something came through for him. And now coming through in the mid lane is Idris, getting the double lockdown onto Sivlock, has flash, but there's no way out of there. The teleport is already down, and that is a hurtful place to be in the mid lane. Teleport already burned, and that is 2 deaths and 2 kills picked up by Spears.
That is just a tilter for Sivlock. He did an absolute disrespect TP into the mid lane after getting solo killed, and he comes right back, and then when you see that, junglers, you should gank them immediately. That's a huge tilter. They're very vulnerable when it comes to these things. Try to shove the lane. hopefully trying to get back. And we'll see Utility Monster ganking up here.
Now it's going to be up to Utility Monster to try and find something back. The flash is available from Jitas. They do trade it in the top lane. Utility Monster going under tower. Doesn't get the stun, but does get the kill. And is able to walk out, use that blast plant to get out of there. There's going to be no response so far as they do pick out the LeBlanc going up to the top side. And a good trade back, keeping it 2-2.
Nice by Utility Monster. They're showing actually mastery on the Poppy, which I've actually been surprised that he has this much mastery on the champion.
Yeah, and that's really where that Dark Harvest comes in the early stages. We might see a more damage-heavy Poppy, but it does look like with that Phage, it is going to be going towards what it will likely be a Divine Sunderer, which was what we were seeing at Worlds whenever we saw Poppy picked up. It's what we've seen previously when we've seen Poppy picked up in the jungle, just taking that Dark Harvest to give Poppy the damage in the early parts of the game, make those ganks a little bit more prevalent, and sustain that damage. Now, Civlock, like we were saying, they need to get the wards down in the bot side to get those rotations and cover off their bot lane of Jeff God Gamer and Brian Sang to make sure that there's nothing coming down. And we see that with that deep ward going down at that red buff, Civlock is going to sacrifice a little bit of his farm, a little bit of it, just a chance to get back into that mid lane in order to keep that bot lane safe.
Civlock is a jungler's best friend right there, forfeiting lane advantage, forfeiting lane prio just to get wards down on the bot side for his bot lane and his jungler.
Yeah, and that is going to be crucial. Obviously, you don't need this Malzahar to be doing getting ahead in this lane and already being 0-2 down the TP. It's a really unfortunate situation to be in if you are Civlock. And I think he sees that and he senses, I need to play for the team right now. Bot side, this is the fight that he was trying to prevent now as they do see Idris finally coming into lane, but Brian Sang is already caught up. There's no flash available. The exhaust comes down now. Jeff God Gamer's been knocked up. He's got no sums available. There's the Shen TP in from the top side. Now Utility Monster here. It is 4v3. No, the ult was canceled on the top side, but they are going to pick up Pro Loople, and that is another kill, another failed gank from HBlock going into Jeff God Gamer's hands.
And I talked about this earlier, nice counter gank by Poppy and why this is so important. Freelancer with the timely ulti for Shen and gets canceled on the spot by Jita, but you also saw right there why Yasuo is such a big counter into the MF with the wind wall, but unfortunately just Yubi's bot lane is ahead right now.
Yeah, no engage allowed with that Yasuo, but instead they take the re-engage and they neglect the level 6 Shen. That is why Shen is so prevalent. That's why he's so strong, is if you see a 2v1 or a 3v2 and you think that you have an advantage, you don't, and they see another down fight and they try to take the advantage here as the dragon goes very low. Pro Lupul's already fallen. Both smites are still alive. Idri's taken so low. There's 700 HP left on the Dragon Spears, trying to go forward but is out of mana, and that is going to be a dragon and an extra 2 kills picked up for YUBI, and this looks desperate from HBlock.
Brian Sang is so gross right there, baiting in the engage, and he W's and roots onto the dragon, gets the heal off, of course, to really just bait them into this full engage right there. Way too early from HBlock if they're going to try to do that. Unfortunate.
Yeah, no, I don't think that they really have the numbers to try and take that play. Pro Lupo going in really before there's any sort of engage available. There's no way you're going to be able to get Idris in. He's down 2 levels to this Poppy who had the ultimate, or, you know, has the ability to keep Jarvan out of the pit, keep him locked up. YUBI was very careful to make sure that there was no room for a smite steal there. It just felt so aggressive for no reason there, and it just gives YUBI an even bigger lead. They're able to push this up to 2k at the 7-minute mark, and now we see an engage in the bot side. There's no wind wall available right now for Tokyo Tree. He is trying to run down onto Jeff God Gamer. No sums available. Tokyo Tree taken very low, but the minion aggro is so big as he is going to not find the trade. Brian Sang picks up the kill, and it's a second kill, a 2v2 in the bot lane. 2 more kills to YUBI, and that potential chance for the Yasuo to carry just quickly dwindles out.
Every single time we pan onto this bot lane, it's fighting, and it's just, unfortunately, HBlock is just getting so close to these kills, and it just does not work out. They are so sad right now, and if they're not tilted, I'd be really surprised.
Yeah, I know, and it's going to be really important for them to not get in their own heads here, as now we see a fight in the mid lane. Good double chain there from Spears, trying to get the lockdown to Civlock, but he does go down. A 3rd kill generated in that mid lane by Spears as LeBlanc, and that is really where you need to start playing if you're HBlock. You see that you have that advantage in the mid lane. No, they're going to take the flash forward. Here comes the Maokai ultimate. Jeff trying to survive from this. Yasuo does take the flash and is able to get away from the tornado. Now it's up to Brian Sang to try and get his AD carry out safely. They do not see the flash over the wall from Idris, and they may think that they're safe, but no, here comes the Jarvan under tower. There's the Shen ultimate again, and keeps Jeff God Gamer alive, and a second time that Shen comes in and foils the plan of HBlock, and for a 3rd time, Idris is caught going for the wrong play in the bot lane.
YUBI's ability, I think the fight's not done here, as we're going to see Q3 with the Yasuo. Okay, he just misses, and Brian Freelancer just clearing out this bot side for Jeff. YUBI's ability to peel and save their AD carry from doing stupid plays is truly like how YUBI is so strong, man. I have never seen that or believed that. Me and you are both AD carry players. To have a team like that, it must feel so good.
Yeah, and it shows how much they trust in Jeff's ability to, you know, take the gold lead that they've given him and say like, okay, this is our part done. We've given you the advantage. Now it's up to you. You need to hold up your end of the deal here, and he totally has now. 3-0-4 on the MF. You know, down on CS, but what can you expect? There's been so much fighting on the bot lane. It's really not much of a surprise, and now that MF, you know, we say likely going for the crit build is going to be going towards what I assume could be either Kraken Slayer or Gale Force, but it's going to be so strong. MF is so strong this patch, and they've set a team up that's going to allow Jeff to deal as much damage as possible on that Misfortune, and it makes team fights, you know, as much as they have the Ornn on the side of H-Block, they have the Yasuo, it just gets so scary when you're playing into a strong Misfortune.
So the crit build is definitely the right build for when it comes to Misfortune, and I think going Gale Force is horrible, which I wanted to talk to you about, but we'll talk about that later. Kraken on MF is very, very strong. It's definitely probably the best mythic on her. It's either that or Eclipse, and with this many tanks on H-Block, we're going to see a tiny engage right here. Just getting poke damage off. Crit build is definitely really strong.
Oh, they've decided to take it past poke damage. Now Idri's finding the lockdown in the mid lane. There's no flash on Civlock, and that is a 4th death for the YUBI mid laner. He's been having such a hard time in this mid lane. There's been so much attention from Idris to try and get Spears ahead, and they've really just tried to keep the focus there, keep this LeBlanc, get him further ahead. And you know what? If there's not good warding coverage, YUBI has been lacking a little bit so far this series on their mid-game warding coverage. That could give room for Spears to find a way onto that Misfortune and win the fight before it even starts.
With LeBlanc continue to get so strong, she will blow up this Misfortune if she misplays. We're going to see just a tiny fake engage right there, hopefully getting the hearts racing. And we're going to see, finally, YUBI gets the push on this bot lane. We're going to see a dive here, maybe.
Yeah, what do you do here? Exhaust is available there. The Windwall sure to come out. Yes, it does, but there's already so much damage from Brian Sang, so much damage from Utility Monster. The TP finally comes in from Spears, and now they have to try and disengage Proloop while trying to cut off the exit. No, it is Jita down into the bot lane. Here is Spears, the different TP, and there's the ulti coming in for Freelancer to match. We've seen 4 people down in the bot lane now from YUBI. Do you see the engage? It is going to take down a Rampage onto the Alistar, and it looks like Spears will fall very soon, trying to use the distortions to get out of there, but he's only running towards Utility Monster, who may actually take the trade there. No, does miss the Ethereal Chains, and instead is going to go down to Brian Sang, who is 4-0 on this Maokai, who is going to allow a 4th kill going over to Misfortune, who will give the opportunity for the final kill of this very extended fight, very extended 5-4-0 for YUBI, and that will let them walk over to the dragon relatively peacefully.
Utility Monster putting his case for best Josh in the league. We're going to see a little fight here. I think Yasuo just straight up inting. Utility Monster on this Poppy has been looking incredible, man. This entire game, this is some of the best I've ever seen Utility Monster play.
Yeah, he's been dictating the game so far on this Poppy. 4-0-4 on the Poppy. We see 4-0-8 on both of the bot laners so far. And Civlock, unfortunately, has been taking the brunt of the pressure and does kind of look like the odd one out on the YUBI squad. But, you know, you can't deny that this bot lane pressure comes through, and they are allowed to do this. They are allowed to commit Utility Monster. They're allowed to commit these Shen ultimates to the bot lane because Civlock is getting the short end of the stick. And he's like, that's okay. I'll just provide my ultimates. I'll be able to do something in the later fights, keep everyone off of my Misfortune, and allow Jeff to do more damage, as we do see that Kraken Slayer is finished up now. And I want to ask you about what you think of that first item on Maokai going for the Dead Man's Plate, potentially for engage.
Well, I actually really like it because Maokai is very slow in general, and getting that W, the root, is really important when it comes to Maokai. That speed up is really, really important, and then that slow on Dead Man's Plate is actually really, really strong. I've seen it a couple times, and I think Maokai in general is actually just really strong when it comes to the roots and his CC, as we're going to see him get a little... I don't think Tokyo Tree can do anything. If he was stronger right now, he could actually kill Jeff. That's why Yasuo is so good in MF, but he's just so far behind. There's nothing he can do. Utility Monster going to clear some vision out.
Currently 4 plates picked up for that Misfortune on the bottom side. Is now Freelancer taking the trade with Jita. Does have that level advantage. It shows how that top lane's been going, and it looks like it's going to be all 5 plates picked up for the YUBI bot lane. The first plate gold, or the first turret gold, going into the pocket of Jeff God Gamer, putting that Misfortune even further ahead. Pretty much even on CS, but everything else across the board is nowhere near close, as he is going to go up to the mid lane now with Brian Sang flash burnt out of Brian, and nothing found on his Spears.
Oh, he throws up the can't disrespect emote right there. So gonna be engaged right here by Jarvan.
Yeah, it looks like there might be a re-engage here. So they do find the flash knockup onto Jeff God Gamer, as now we see the engage canceling out the ulti. Jeff taken so low, but even lower is Idris right now, as we do see the engage and the pop from Spears onto Jeff. That's so important now. Is he going to be able to find his way out of there? They do find the repeat knockup, the suspension there from the Yasuo, who does get engaged on by the Poppy. And there's that Shen ultimate finally coming out, and they do find the misfortune, but YUBI finds 3.
This is one of the most unfortunate games I've ever seen in all of FWF history, man. A lot of these plays are the right plays. They are the smart plays. Utility monster right here. I think he's just tanking 2 towers. Is he gonna live?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. It has been a lot of situations where HBlock is just taking the information that they have and going for the right plays, but that's what Shen allows you to do as a team, is say, okay, this looks like a good play, but you have to remember we have the extra person, we have the shielding, and unfortunately it was not able to come out onto Jeff God Gamer, so they do pick up the shutdown onto that LeBlanc, which is really the last hope for HBlock's tournament life right now. But instead they do continue to take the fight afterwards, and Shen does finally show up, and it turns the fight immediately.
Yeah, a lot of these fights are getting YUBI so low, but as you said, Shen comes in and saves his team. He saves Jeff, who has been, his positioning actually has not been that great this game. Tricky Tree's going to try to go into Freelancer, but I don't think he dies.
Yeah, and there is 3 on the bot side now. Freelancer's going to have to try and waltz out of. There's going to be no Shen ult to save him. We do see the repeat knockup. The Ignite takes Tokyo Tree so low, and he does pick up the kill. In the 3v1, the Yasuo does fall, and now suddenly it looks like Freelancer can turn this fight. Utility Monster is here, does have the speed from the W, surely. No, gets on top of Proloop, will take him so low that Dark Harvest proc does so much damage, and that is going to be another rampage coming out of YUBI there, as Utility Monster is going to find that extra kill onto the bot laners. The unfortunate 0-12 out of the H-Block bot lane must hurt so much, as they do see the engage now. They're looking for Raptors, but now looking for Jeff God Gamers. They do pick up the second kill onto that misfortune. Idris, with no way out of there, surely will fall to the YUBI duo of Brian Sang and Utility Monster. This game looks so chaotic at this point. There's so many fights happening.
Yeah, which is really not how YUBI likes to play, honestly. I actually think that YUBI is really one of the best parts about YUBI is their ability to play from behind. They talked about this a lot when I talked to them, and I think this fast style of play really harbors to like what Taz used to play, like this just all in these fights across the map, these skirmishes, and I don't think that's really YUBI style.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not falling into their hands all the time, but what is falling into their hands is that their composition allows them to take this type of style. They have the reinforcements of the Poppy, of the Shen, of these big tanky members who can just be there in a few seconds notice, and it has given them the opportunities to make plays out of things that, like you say, have looked beneficial for H-Block. They've been making the right calls, but they don't have the map rotations completely covered up, and I was giving YUBI a hard time for their mid-game warding coverage, but look at it right now. The bottom side's completely covered up. We've got 6 seconds till Dragon spawns. Shen is recalling. There's the top lane shoved in. This is very good macro play from YUBI to allow them to pick up this soul point.
So if they really wanted to be a little cheesy here, I actually think they could have held on to this Dragon to see if H-Block was going to face check it. I mean, of course they're not, knowing because we had the Fog of War. We're going to see a 4-man gank onto Sivlock here.
They decide to burn the Shen ulti to try and save, as Sivlock is already taken so low. The taunts do come out. There's the ulti from Sivlock, unable to take down Tokyo Tree, and now it is a 1v3 from Freelancer. Trying to find a trade back, doesn't have the Ignite this time. There's another shutdown from Tokyo Tree, and I don't think that ultimate was necessary. Gold given over now. This will be Rift Herald also surely picked up from H-Block, and it might be the mid lane turret to trade, but I don't think that's what you need to do right now as YUBI.
Yeah, Sivlock just really not being respectful right there. When your entire team is on the bot side getting a Dragon for free, you should not be that close to the top side. You're the only you're the only objective on the map at the moment. The only thing that H-Block can take, and he just pushes way too far ahead and gets punished for it.
Yeah, it's beneficial for them to look at that Rift Herald at this point in the game, and they just completely neglect it. Now, will they see Idris here? No, finding an engage onto Jeff God Gamer. Is there some way for Spears to find his way in? No, immediately taken down, as there is the second kill picked up onto Spears. Jeff finally getting his revenge. 3 kills picked up by YUBI in front of that Rift Herald. Bit of a delay there trying to take it down, but now Tokyo Tree's found his way onto Sivlock. Brian Sang finally there to help. Jita popping the ultimate. They do take down Sivlock. They do find the re-engage onto the misfortune in the backline. They will not find a kill there, though, as instead Tokyo Tree does fall.
Yeah, actually really good by Jeff right there. Of course, you can actually root, like when you're rooted, you can ult when it comes to MF, and that's what made him do so much damage right there. And just unfortunately, Idris has a lot of these engages that he just cannot do because they are just so far behind. If they were even or even ahead, that these engages would work, but they're just not allowed to do it. It's actually illegal when you are this far behind, and as you see, they're just actually accelerating their demise.
Yeah, they're playing like they're at a 4K gold disadvantage right now. They're playing as though, like, okay, we just need one fight to really bring this one back. But the thing is that they've been doing that for the better part of 10 minutes, and what do you know? It's up to a 9K gold deficit. They're really just almost 10K now. They're so far behind. They don't really have a late game insurance policy. Obviously, they have the ornaments that will come out, you know, as Ornn gets those levels, but he hasn't been allowed to get that solo for long enough now. Now Tokyo Tree is caught out by Freelancer in the jungle. Freelancer respecting the possibility of teammates to follow up there and will not take the fight. But what are you doing as HBlock right now? There's so many opportunities that they've had throughout the entire game so far to just try and cool down the pace, try and slow things down. They found the pick onto Jeff that was really good by Spears. Get himself ahead, you know, try and find some way. Instead, they've been taking fights that they cannot win, and they've only kind of dug the hole even deeper for themselves.
Yeah, the only thing that you really can do is try to get this Yasuo into side lane, try to get this, I guess, LeBlanc into a side lane, because LeBlanc is strong. LeBlanc can potentially try to one-shot somebody and try to stay ahead. Unfortunately, this gold lead is looking insurmountable, and you just got to make sure that you keep a cool head. You know, these teams will mess up eventually, as we saw like earlier with Freelancer ulting for no reason, trying to save Civlock, and Civlock going too far ahead, giving away, that was a 1.5, I think, 1,000 gold right there. Yeah. Just hope that YUBI decides to continue to make these mistakes and try to punish YUBI's mistakes.
Yeah, and just take plays that are guaranteed. You know, like they sent 4 people up for the 1 of Civlock. What do you know? They found a second person. You know, that's an extra kill, an extra shutdown off of that Shen. And those are the plays that they need to be taking right now. Instead, they're just, we kind of, oh, well, we've already lost one. We need to try and find another kills. Instead, they're getting tower dove, 4v3 on the bot lane, inner turret now. The Yasuo has already taken so low. Tokyo Tree just on the sliver of HP as Jita finally comes in with the ultimate. Spears is on the backline, though. Does get ulted, but immediately knocked up. Civlock unable to use the full duration of the ultimate there as one does fall. Spears is picked up in a return, though, as Utility Monster did fall. And now Brian Sang's trying to find a way onto ProLupal as they do slowly take this fight forward. Jeff God Gamer is still alive and healing up in the back of this fight. ProLupal so low. Does go down to Brian Sang, who is godlike on this Maokai. A 7th kill picked up for him. A 7th kill picked up for Jeff God Gamer as they are going to crack the inhibitor.
YUBI with the straight illegal dive right there, and just their goalie, that was just absolutely smacking with their money and just saying, look, dude, look at this. We're going to see Freelancer just bop on this Ornn right here. He can't kill him, but he's just doing it for the damage. The KDA got to look good for your teammates. And Tokyo Tree is going to, I think he's going to ant right here.
Oh, yeah, he's running it into his team. There's nowhere to go. Does finally give Civlock a little bit of redemption. They're picking up the kill on that 2 and 9 Yasuo. We're kind of worried if you're looking at YUBI. They are worried about that Yasuo finally hitting the power spike there. As the soul point does roll into a Dragon Soul potentially coming through at the 22-minute mark. 22:30 will be the pickup here for YUBI if they do decide to go for that dragon immediately. I don't see why they wouldn't. That would be such an easy win condition to push this game kind of to the breaking point and finally break HBlock for good.
You know what? I know what Tokyo Tree was trying to do right there. He's 2 and 9 right now, and he knows if he gets one more death, he's on the power spike. The undefeated, the 10 death Yasuo power spike, which is truly unbeatable. As we're going to see Spears just get some poke damage off, and it's going to be a fight here.
Yeah, here comes Utility Monster, trying to find some way onto ProLupal here. This is 3v4, though, as Freelancer did not decide to finish that recall, deciding to come in and reinforce his team. Civlock is on the back. There's no Tokyo Tree here yet. Lots of damage coming up, but these big tanks are yet to fall. Utility Monster trying to find a way in. They do find the knockup for the Yasuo. There's a big Ornn ult coming in from HBlock. Landing a knockup onto 2. Freelancer does flash out of it, but Tokyo Tree does fall. The Jarvan ulti in the middle of the Cataclysm is unable to catch the Misfortune or the Malzahar, as they now do run forward onto a low-health Alistar. Jita has no ultimate available. The recall coming up from Spears, but there's the bullet time over the top. Jeff God Gamer, Utility Monster, all of YUBI still up, and they are going to crack this mid inhibitor. Utility Monster deep under tower right now as we just did flank from Spears. Will he be able to find a way onto Jeff God Gamer? No, does get taunted up and does go down. This is looking YUBI all the way home.
Fantastic positioning right there by Civlock and MF. They got out of that bounty house when it comes to HBlock. Just want to see Idris leave this game. I think that YUBI takes this 3-0.
It looks like everyone, including HBlock, has conceded this win. YUBI taking down the final Nexus turrets. The Dragon Soul was unrequired. They take down HBlock to be the Season 4 Luna champions.
Back to back, baby. Let's go, man. The Catboys back to back.
And they are off to the super finals against the Helios winners of Rex. We will see a beautiful best of 5 between both of those two teams. What an achievement, though, being back-to-back champions. I don't think that we've had that before in FOF. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Never.
Huge play from YUBI to show up, play excellently. This has been really something we've expected. H-Block looked like they might have been able to test. There's been moments where YUBI has looked inconsistent. Obviously, they lost Jeff in the middle of the season to an unfortunate gank. But they came back strong. They came back for playoffs. They've been playing great the whole time, and they deserve this. They're here at the top of the field, back to their throne. They've returned, and this is something they've built for themselves the whole season. I'm happy to see them back.
Yeah, man. Really, YUBI, as you said, the first time back-to-back champions of FOF history, their dominance has really been understated. I can go on and on about how incredible YUBI's run has been since that they came into the season, last season. But man, what a game. Really, what a series. H-Block, even though they went to the 3-0, I don't think this tells the full story. I don't think that all these games were stomps or rolls. Like this game in particular, H-Block made a lot of plays that really, if they were ahead or if things would have went a little differently, they would have came out really ahead. But YUBI, man, fantastic. Great win for you guys.
Yeah, no, YUBI reclaiming the top of the league. Back to their thrones, back to the Catboys reigning over everyone else. It has been a phenomenal showing from them all season. We will get to hear from them in an interview that will follow this. Please do not go anywhere.
Going into the YUBI game on Monday, I feel like we have high expectations for ourselves because if you look at our matches from like the start of the league and to what we're like at now, I think we're on like a 10-11 game win streak. We just like decimated the rest of the league once like we got comfortable with like our play styles and like our champion pools. So I feel like even though it could possibly go into game 5, I feel like we can take it in 4 games.
Hello everyone, Chris Edgeworth here, and I am joined by our Season 4 champions here in Luna. I'm joined by the team of Universal Basic Income. Congratulations, folks, on that 3-0. Let me ask you a little bit about how are you feeling about such a decisive victory here in the Grand Finals?
Honestly, fantastic. This was definitely the game and the series that we were most stressed about this entire series, and that we did the most prep for.
Yeah, it was definitely one where we put a lot of time in beforehand, and we're glad that it paid off. But I think that honestly, HBK is unlucky to have gotten 3-0. I think that they played well enough that on a different day they take a game or two. So props to them for showing up, even if the result didn't go the way they wanted.
I think it's unlucky always when the final game of this series does end up being somewhat decisive, because it does kind of take away from how tight some of the intense some of the early portions of those first two games were for you folks. And so coming into this, what did turn out being a 3-0 series though, but what was it like for Universal Basic Income as you guys were preparing for this final matchup here for Luna?
So we were going through, and most of their players play a relatively small number of characters. And it's enough that we can't consistently ban out everyone or anyone really. Everyone plays, 3 or 4 different characters, but it was enough that we could ban out the things that we didn't want to play against and sort of guide their compositions to themes that we thought we could beat. And so a lot of it was, trying to make sure that the comps that we had holistically and sort of lane by lane were better than what they had. And even that, I think, was only a small edge. I think most of the series was down to the gameplay, and we played really well.
And so let's take a look at the series overall then, and let's work our way down. So looking at the top jungle matchup, I want to get a little bit of your thoughts, Freelancer and Utility Monster. Freelancer, of course, You did have to take part of this two-part tango in the second game with the lane swaps. But in the first game, you were decisively getting ahead with chomping out on the Cho'Gath. And then Utility Monster, you also had a little bit of the ego diff trading the Poppy matchup here in the second and third game. Your variety, you brought out the Dark Harvest instead of the Poppy Murder Express with a Predator. Let's start with you, Freelancer, and then Utility Monster. What were your thoughts on these three games and your matchups on your side of the map?
For the first game, I thought it really just came down to preparation. We kind of expected the Renekton. We had the Cho'Gath ready as just a very stable lane pick. And in that first game, if H-Block isn't super far ahead, we just win the game automatically just based on the draft. And we were able to just have a really stable laning phase. For the second game, I really respected the pressure that they had with the Lucian top, with the Poppy forcing me off the tower. That was some really good coordination and team play. And that was a really hard-fought game, so well done, H-Block.
Yeah, I think so. I played Kha'Zix the first two games, and I don't think I, was a huge contributor, but I was doing what I needed to do in a macro sense, sort of stacking dragons and such. Third game in the Poppy, I think that frankly I just had a better comp to pick Poppy into. When HBK picked Poppy, we didn't have that many dashes to interrupt, and we were sort of losing a lot of the upside you'd get from Poppy's W grounding. Whereas I picked it into a comp that had eventually 5 dashes, so I think a lot of it was just picking the champion at a better time more than necessarily piloting it better or worse, because Poppy is fairly straightforward. But yeah, definitely happy with overall how our decision making went that game, and I think that I wouldn't really change too many of the plays I made.
And after that, let's pivot down into the middle of the map. Civilock, as I was talking about a second ago, there was in the second game a little bit of the swap in the mid lane. But in this final game, we were able to see you finally get your hands on the classic Civilock Malzahar. What was your experience like in the series in the mid lane?
Yeah, well, we're starting at the end. Really didn't get to play that game. I got solo killed at level 4, mismanaging the wave, and then I got reganked on the TP back. So after that, I was like, yeah, I'm just not going to play this one, guys. You guys are winning in the side lanes. I'm just going to chill out and relax. Still died a couple more times, but...
You didn't cage roll.
Yeah, there's only like a certain level of uselessness you can approach as Malzahar. So at some point, you get diminishing returns, and I still have R. It's alright. So, the series as a whole, though, I think Spears is a really strong player, and I think definitely showed why he's been MVP for the season. Speaking of game 2, I guess we're going in reverse order, which is all right. But in game 2 is interesting because we ended up falling into this trap where they were able to get Aurelia against Kayle. And that's a very challenging matchup for Kayle to manage in the side lane because Aurelia just has more stats and can follow her through the entire wave. So we got kind of worried that it was going to be Aurelia top. So we actually locked Urgot with the intention of switching back and forth and getting the lane assignments that worked out best for us. As it turned out, it was Aurelia bot after all. But we still had to fight against the Aurelia in the side lane, and Urgot was really powerful in that game where they have to run into us and stop the Kayle, and then Urgot just stands in between them. I get to free hit all I want. And first game, I got my signature Stone Brother, Galio himself, and I think that really got to speak for itself.
Yeah, for sure. And as I look at this and take it from the top, one thing that I didn't highlight a second ago was I really enjoyed in the first game some of the zoning so-called ultimates that we were able to get out of Utility Monster. It could just be spooky no matter what you have going on the map. In the first game, you just hit R as Nocturne, and you're just like, well, how sure are you that there's nothing going on around here? and just being able to. Oh, I'm looking at this entirely backwards. That was the HBK.
Yeah, they had the Nocturne, but it was very scary. I agree.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it was quite scary.
The point holds up. Sorry, but that was well played. So shouts out to Idris on that one. I'm gonna work my way. I'm gonna work my way down to the bot side, and this was something where we saw Return of the Classic, the Brian Sang difference with the Maokai showing up multiple games in this series. And Jeff God, you were able to not only return to us after you were assailed by damages, the revival. You were able to come back to us on multiple different methods of showing up in the bot side. So we had the Sivir, and then into the Senna, and then ending up with more traditional MF. Talk to me, if you would, Jeff, and then Brian, about how you felt about how this series went, with how each of you had to pull different amounts of carry potential in each of these games.
Yeah, in the first game, I think we definitely got to pick like what we enjoy playing the most. So we sort of move around the map better than we were. But something they did do in the first game is they spent too much time on the top side, and then in order to try to get wave on a river, and opted for a level 1 fight. They have an AP champion who can only deal damage every 4 seconds. Sivir can do damage like every 3 seconds, and on top of Maokai, the 80 to beat them up. I think after that game, they sort of realized that they couldn't really beat us bot lane on regular champions, so they started pulling out more spicy picks. The Aurelia Rel worked to pretty good success, helped out by Poppy, and just sort of the Yasuo just didn't really work that well at all. But I think in the second game, I sort of had about how the lane was playing, but I still was able to sort of bring it back, and we just kept going 1 for 1. So it was, I think, me and Brian showed that we were definitely the better bot lane today.
Yeah, I thought overall in the series, their bot lane played well, but they did make a few critical mistakes that allowed Jeff and I to get ahead. So because, they decided to walk the wrong way into lane level 1 and fight with Ziggs at level 1 was just really, really unfortunate for the chances of winning. So because of that, it really put us in a position where we were very far ahead when it should just be a farm lane. And what ended up happening is that, Pro Lupul essentially spent all of the time roaming out of the lane, trying to make plays on the map, because it's a sack lane where you have Ziggs just farm it out under tower and you have Rakan roaming out of lane. But us being able to get that kind of control over the wave and zone Ziggs off early just kind of, it really delayed his power spike, and so it let us get Jeff to a comfortable item advantage, and then eventually in the mid game we were able to just kind of blow the game wide open. In the other games, in the second game, we were definitely caught off guard. We were not expecting Aurelia bot lane, and they played it very well. I don't think we weren't really familiar with that lane matchup, so we underestimated our own ability to fight them. And Jeff ended up eating dirt a few times, but fortunately, our game plan, what we had decided before going to that game, is we have picked Kayle, we have picked Senna. We are playing for that 30 minutes, that 40 minutes. Kayle and Senna are going to come online. Yeah, and then there's nothing they can do. So as long as we stabilize bot lane, then our Kayle should just become strong enough to carry us through the game. And then I think in that third game, the game was really, really unfortunate when Pro Lupul failed his flash QW. It happens. I've done it before as well. I was considering flashing, but I chose not to after I saw he failed the WQ or the flash WQ. And then when they committed to the play anyways, and then lost one on the way out, I think it was both really detrimental, not only to their game plan of blowing their game wide open early, but also detrimental to kind of the player's mental state, because I think the early game is one of their greatest strengths, and so being put behind early really did not help them in any way.
All right, well, congratulations to Universal Basic Income on this victory. This is the end of our series here, folks. But before we step away, each of you, I'd like to offer you the floor. Is there any final thoughts, any reflections that you have on this series on this season that you'd like to shout out before we step away?
Yeah. So I want to let everybody know in FF know that I had a great time. I think throughout the season I got to watch a lot of teams grow as a team because we had a lot of in between the seasons. We saw a lot of roster swaps. We saw some new teams. We saw some old teams. So it's really fun to watch teams kind of mess around with the roster a little bit, mess around with their game plan. Eventually find that kind of style that worked for them. So it's really fun to watch everybody develop into the kind of player, the play styles that are kind of like hallmarks of each team now. So I won't be participating in next season. I'm retiring, but I think it'll be really fun to just kind of watch and be as a spectator watch the teams and UB heading forwards as well.
Yeah, going off about that, more shout outs. I want to quickly point out that a huge shout out to Mr. Trunks, Irina Thunder, Joshi, and Bill the Pony for filling in when I obviously couldn't play. I think it was definitely a shocking moment for my team to hear that I'd been hit by a car and I wouldn't be playing for a month. But they all came in, they filled their role really well, and they looked really good in their games. I also wanna quickly shout out my roommates. I know they've been super supportive. They've watched every single one of my games, and even the ones that I'm missing, they're still watching. They're still watching the team, and my roommates and my girlfriend, they're incredibly supportive, and just the general FOF community has also been super supportive. I know a ton of people reached out to check and see if I needed anything or how I was feeling, and just that sort of community vibe really makes FF great to play in.
Got anything, Lovis?
Oh, yeah. I guess I was pretty worried going into the series, honestly. Two unfortunate things happened. One, Age of Empires 4 came out, and two, more seriously, I actually got really sick last week. And I didn't have a lot of chances to practice seriously as a team. I got some individual practice, but I was just very ill. And I was worried about my communication today because I was coughing quite a bit just yesterday, but as you can tell, it's all right. My teammates only had to put up with a little bit of a hacking in comms. And I think it really turned out okay for us today. And even though I think with the series results being decisive, we had some really close and competitive games. I don't think HBK rolled over and died by any means, especially in game 1 and 2, where they were fighting and had gold leads for the majority of both games. So thank you to our opponents for giving us an exciting finals. And also shout out to my family. I know my dad, Uncle Lit, lurks in the chat and he watches all my matches. So thanks, Dad. I appreciate you. Please be nice to people in the chat. Don't be a soccer dad. So thank you for my family for supporting me. I'll pass it to Josh.
Yeah, thanks to everyone in Friend Zone for watch partying this, I'm sure. And it's been great to play League with you guys too. And thanks to my family for tuning in, even though I'm sure you guys have no idea what's happening half the time. It's great that you support me anyway.
And kind of finally, I wanted to thank kind of each and every team that we got to play against this season. It was a lot of fun to play against each and every one of you. You all came in with just such positive attitudes and really just made playing in this league such a great time. And kind of our last shout out is to you, Chris, and the rest of staff who really just make this an excellent experience. Thank you all so much for watching.
Agreed. Thank you, all the staff.
All right. Well, we appreciate that. I appreciate that, and I will add to the chorus a shout out to all of the staff as we approach the absolute very end of our season here for season 4 of Friend or Foe. Both Luna and Helios here. So many people make this possible. Not only just all of the teams that contribute to give us something to show, but all of the many people behind the scenes, the referees, the graphics people, the administrators, the organizers, everyone who makes this possible, the fans in the chat who give us an audience to share this with. We appreciate everyone, and we're grateful for everyone. As we conclude Season 4 here, congratulations to Universal Basic Income for their win here in the Luna Grand Finals, and congratulations as well to Rex Regalis from our Helios Grand Finals last week. Folks, that is our conclusion of a very, very successful season here at Friend or Foe. We hope that everyone will keep their eyes out for more developments coming soon. So keep your eyes peeled, folks, as we look forward to the so-called, the fabled Super Finals. And as we step away, have a good evening, be well, and we'll hope to see you all back very, very soon.